Raise your hand if you've never heard of Aventus. Whoa. I was not expecting anyone to actually raise their hand. This is not good. You, my friend, are in trouble. Who are you? Who sent you? You must be a spy,
and a bad one at that.
Why would you blow your cover like this? Is this your first mission?
No matter.
Here we are. So where do we go from here? Everyone is looking at you now. As I said, you are in trouble. Here's what you can do. I will quietly leave a link in the description of this video to a decant of Aventus, because you've never smelled it. Except now everyone knows, because I just said it. Oh dear. Just get the sample, then report back to your little boss in your little headquarters and tell them that if they wanted to learn more about how the Fragcom feels about Creed's Aventus, they should not have sent a rookie.
Rookie.
I don't know what that was. Pardon me, guys. We all know, well, at least most of us know, that Aventus is amazing, objectively speaking. Even if it does not suit your taste, even if you are furious with the abhorrent current batches, we cannot deny the phenomenon that Aventus has become over the past 10 plus years. It goes without saying that people still talk about Aventus a lot. Me, once in a green moon. That's rarer than a blue moon. But even to this day, I still love the scent and the vibe that Aventus carries when you wear it. And I cherish my memories wearing it regularly years back. Here is my first bottle, which I got brand new as a gift from a friend named A2 back in 2017. I want to thank you so much, A2. And every spray out of this was put on my body. My most worn fragrance to date by far. I even have a 2020 batch. This is the 10th anniversary edition of Aventus. While I was supremely disappointed in it when I first got it, after letting it sit for a few years, it has matured, it has changed, it's become more of what I remember Aventus being, and it has my interest now. So I will be wearing this a little bit more often. Who knows, maybe it'll pop up in some more videos. However, we need to shake things up. Let's make an effort to talk about other great fragrances. Can there actually be fragrances that are just as good, if not better, than Aventus? Maybe, but we shouldn't let the fear of disappointment hold us back from trying fragrances that we are genuinely interested in, even if they're ones no one's talking about. Now, some of the 7 alternatives we will be talking about in this video smell more like Aventus than others, but I believe each of them features a similar variety of balanced ingredients to that of Aventus. I'll be featuring fragrances with Aventus's general characteristics: bright fruits, supportive moss and or woods, and even a warmer and sweeter element like a vanilla, a tonka bean, an amber, or a musk. I'll be avoiding the most obvious picks like Raja Parfum Elysium, Mancera Cedra Boisé, Nishane Hachivat, because I don't believe that putting them into their 17,600th video actually serves you as a viewer. But the TLDR version for those fragrances,
they're good.
As per the title, all of these fragrances can be had for less than Aventus. However, none of them are by any means cheapies. Again, we're going for high quality here. And a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time in perfumery, you do get what you pay for. Let's dive right into it. If we're going to talk about Aventus inspired fragrances, we have to talk about paramsvintage. They've been on the scene for a minute. What I can easily say about their fragrances is that most of them are quite good. They have a lot of Aventus inspired fragrances. Much of their collection is centered around Aventus and its lore. And to this day, they're still creating new ones. And I believe this is their newest and most special because it is in commemoration of their 7th anniversary. They call this unisex intense, and they have this brand new bottle style that I think at least most of their fragrances will start coming in maybe as an option. And it comes with this very heavy, you'll see in the B-roll, pineapple top cap. It is metal, it's heavy, it's a weapon. You can vanquish your enemies with it if you wish. Just remember that it's against the law to do that. Anyway, what does this smell like? Kind of like the name, this is intended to be a unisex take on Aventus slash their interpretation of Aventus. They have their whole pineapple vintage line, the Emperor line, and others. I think that's what they're starting with, and they're softening it. They're making it specifically designed for a unisex market while being Aventus adjacent. Now, I can't tell you exactly what's in here other than pineapple, other than several kinds of musks. I think there's 14 to be exact. You'll find some ingredients on their website, but you will find the fact that there's 118 different ingredients in this fragrance, allegedly. But how does it all come across? It comes across as a soft, musky, foggy, fresh, fruity Aventus with a little bit of a warm sweetness as it dries down, but the musk is amped up here because there's so much of it. There is a little bit of this creamy wood base to it. I think there is some sandalwood in here as it dries down. I was getting good performance out of this and really good projection. I put this on, Grace and I went for a walk, and some guy maybe 10 feet away out on the street, it was super windy. He was like,
"Bro, man, your cologne smells good."
I said, "Thank you." And Grace also really enjoyed it as I was wearing it throughout the day, and I found myself smelling it a little bit the next morning on my hand. However, I do think this is one that you could easily go nose blind to because of the musks that could shut things off if you're spraying all near your chest and your neck, or if you're just shoving it up your nose constantly throughout the day from your hand. It is a bit of a refreshing take in regards to their Aventus inspired fragrances because it is a couple side steps away from Aventus. So if you're looking for a slightly softer, maybe more elegant, less robust, less overtly masculine take on Aventus, this is one to check out. Quality's good. Again, performance is good for me. And this bottle is beautiful. It comes in different colors that you can choose. They have like 7 different colors, I think. So that's cool. That is Unisex Intense from paramsvintage. Let me know if you've tried it already. Let's talk about Sora Dora. I haven't talked about this fragrance a ton. I will be honest with you, when I first tried it, I was a little disappointed because I was not expecting it to remind me of a little bit of a niche blend of Dior Sauvage and Creed Aventus. But the more I've worn it, it does kind of stand out as its own thing. This is called Gladiator. It had quite a bit of hype when it first dropped a few years back. It's a little quiet now, but I do think it's a solid take on a high quality but easy to wear, super versatile fragrance. It features that balance. It has a fruitiness. It has a brightness to it, a citrusy fruitiness, but lots of mint in here. Very, very cold, fresh, pervasive mint. And that dries into some woods and lots of ambroxan. I'm getting a lot of ambroxan in here, which puts me in that Sauvage headspace. It is pretty blue, but it does come across with good ingredients. The vibe in the air is clean, it's fresh, but it does feel a little bit more elevated than your standard blue freshie. And for those who care, performance is good. I do enjoy Gladiator. I hate its atomizer. Let me show you. Kind of pitiful, but you can get around that just by spraying a little bit more. So let me know if you dig Gladiator. I do think it is a fine substitute for Aventus. This one is perhaps not the most unknown, but definitely nowhere near as talked about as Aventus and some of its other more well-known adjacents. This is Renaissance from Xerjoff. Again, does not smell like Aventus. Not all of these are meant to smell like Aventus, but it can function the same way. It has a similar structure in terms of the types of elements, but not the same ingredients by any means. Similar to Gladiator, based a lot on mint here, but also lots of citruses, very bright, a little bit juicy, very invigorating and clean smelling. But there's a little bit of a white floral heart that kind of softens it out as it dries down. And it does have a nice ambery, musky base that not only makes it warm and kind of sensual when it dries, but also makes it last quite a long time on the skin. This is easily a 10+ hour fragrance for me. It is still one of my top choices for niche fragrances that are fresh for the summertime. I can easily recommend this one in terms of value that you get, as long as you love it, of course. That is Renaissance from Xerjoff. This next one will not be for all of you. It might rub some of you the wrong way, at least at first spray, maybe within the first 10 minutes. It's going to be a little strange for some of you guys. This is from Javoy, one of my favorite houses that's definitely off the beaten path, and they call this L'Art de la Guerre. The Art of War. It's a fantastic scent and it is incredibly unique. It is based around a lot of rhubarb, immortelle, and oak moss. A touch of violet leaf perhaps to freshen it up. The rhubarb is crisp, it's ripe, it's kind of bittersweet, not a ton of sweetness here, but the immortelle is what might be the dividing factor because to some people this will smell like kitchen spices. Again, at least at first spray and especially if you smell it up close. So I don't advise that. Put it on your hand, let it come to you and just bask in how different this fragrance is, but it ultimately dries down to something that's well balanced, fairly versatile, but you gotta like it at the very least. Otherwise, it's not worth it. You won't wear it. So don't blind buy this. Get a sample first. I will have a link to whatever I can find down below. That is L'Art de la Guerre from Javoy. Now, while we are avoiding Creed Aventus in this video, more or less, we can still talk about Creed because they have other offerings that are wonderful that can serve the same functions as Aventus. So I am instead talking about one of my old loves from Creed that doesn't get much talk anymore. This is called Vier Geranium. This is not going to be for everyone because the geranium is pretty heavy. Geranium is a surprisingly polarizing note. For some people, can come across either a little bit vapor-rubby, like a little bit too mentholic and minty, and to some people it can smell a little bit powdery, rosy, and almost grandma-ish, as people say. I don't really get either of those. This is a very opulent and natural smelling geranium with a crisp, beautiful apple note. That juicy apple, oh man, it is so natural smelling, but that geranium is up front and center. It brings the freshness, it brings that minty quality that it's known for, and it dries down to a very light and subtle woody vetiver. The vetiver is not really up front. It's almost invisible, honestly. You have to kind of dig for it, and it does come out, at least for me, much later into the dry down. This is not going to be a beast of a fragrance, so if you're looking for that, you won't find it here. This is elegant, and elegance does not have to scream, as I like to say. So give this a try if you haven't already. Again, not many are talking about it these days, but it's worth a sample. Vetiver Geranium. Let's talk about a brand you may have never ever heard of. This is a brand that hails from Spain. The owner of the brand is also the perfumer, so it is technically an indie brand, but the quality of these perfumes is beautiful. The house is called Pente, and they call this Zoticos, which I believe translates to full of life or something of that sort. Perfect name. You spray this on, it explodes. The freshness, the vivaciousness, oh, it just pulls you in. It is a fruity, spicy opening, kind of tropical, kind of almost fig-like. There's a green character to it, but also being fruity and sweet, juicy even, but there is a lot of black pepper that kind of tickles the nose, but it really makes it fly off the skin, gives it a beautiful diffusiveness. You have a heart of juniper berry, which keeps things nice and fresh, very refreshing. Smells kind of like a vacation, but it does have a beautiful spicy musky base that makes it dry down into something more classier than just a day at the beach. There is a nice balance to it. Again, that's what we're going for, but trust me, smells nothing like Aventus. In fact, it reminds me of really nothing else. Totally worth checking out. Check out this brand. They got a lot of other wonderful, thoughtful offerings. I will link them down below where you can get a discovery set. From Pente, that is Zoticos. And finally, from a house that, again, most of you have probably never heard of, this is from Soul of Mine, and they call this Treasure. Perfumed by the monster Christian Provenzano, one of the busiest guys in perfumery right now. And when I first smelled this, I was like, it's familiar. What does this remind me of?
It reminds me of Creed Aventus.
But that changed. In fact, not only does it change on the skin, but I find that even my bottle has changed. It's not just an at first spray thing anymore. When I spray this on, I get almost nothing reminding me of Aventus anymore. Instead, I get this earthy, mossy, but sweet, fruity quality. Red fruits, fresh lavender. There is a freshness to it. Again, brings that versatile balance. Dries down to a heart of florals, not too different from Aventus, but has a robust base of woods and musk and earthy notes. Kind of gets a little darker and rougher on the skin and lasts a very long time. Beautiful quality, beautiful blend, a beautiful development on the skin. Hopefully they have samples on their website. I will link to what I can find down below. Soul of Mine, Treasure. Let me know if you've tried it. As usual, there will be links to every fragrance I talked about down in the description, and let me know down in the comments if you've tried any of these fragrances. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.